Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast. I am, of course, Nick McDaniel, and as always, I am joined by my buddy Myron.
Hello, folks. How are y'all doing tonight? Apparently, Nick is a Gary Lamb.
I'm a Gary Lamb guy.
Okay, now I get it. Yes. Shout out to our friend Gary Lamb, the promoter of Southern Honor Wrestling, one of the most interesting people I've ever had a chance to talk to, and also part of one of our newest shows.
Yeah, I was going to discuss it later, but I'll throw it out right now, man. It debuted yesterday. Wink, wink. On the network. It's going to be a bi-weekly show. It's the wrestling business, and I say the wrestling business because the show solely will focus on, getting into wrestling as far as a promotions or an owner, something to that degree, and it'll be about the business side of it. And we're, down the road, we're going to bring on some other people, get their take, get their opinions, that kind of stuff. But just, it was just something, we had been talking about it. Gary said a lot of people ask him about why, when, how, and all that good stuff. So we said, man, let's just lay track to this and, put it out there so it can help not just guys here in Georgia, but it can help all over the world.
Yeah. Well, when we look at it, let's look at it objectively. A lot of people that get into wrestling and running promotions don't get into it to make money. David inherited Southern Fried from Charles, who really was not a money-making man, but David's turned it into something that can make money. That's a different viewpoint. Gary started from scratch with something to make money, like money for himself, like stuff he would put in his wallet.
Yeah, I mean, it's, there's some partners there and it's hard work, but, some promotions are, hobbies. Some promotions are, charity based. I mean, there's lots of, there's, multiple ways that people do wrestling promotions, and which is awesome. So check it out. It's going to be every couple of weeks. Like I said, you'll find it on there. There'll be video versions on, Patreon, of course, early. We always like to give our patrons a little bit early. So you check that out. But man, let's dive right in, man. Wanted to start this week off. This might be one of the absolute heaviest women's, concentrated shows we've ever had.
Well, they're becoming a bigger part of every show we watch. I mean, every single WWE show becomes more women-centric because that's what people are popping over.
It's
your
the
biggest
top.
heel. Who's your biggest heel in the company right now?
We might argue that.
Well, who gets booed, who gets cheered.
You could argue Nia got a just roaring boo on the segment, Moment of Bliss. Ronda got booed, which we're going to discuss here in a second. And during her matches, in her talking as well.
Were they chanting CM Punk?
No, thank God.
They were booing.
They were booing.
Responding.
Yeah, I mean, we are in a day where we're about to have WrestleMania main evented by a women's match. So we're gonna discuss that particular match. But first and foremost, I wanted to ask you because we were just talking about boos and cheers. Chris Rowling, Bleacher Report, released an article. It was February 2nd. If you want to go back and look it up, because I thought the article was really good. The article was the title of the article is Ronda Rousey can only succeed as a heel. And at first when I read it, I was like, but then, you read the article and you think about it, there's lots of validity to it. And I'll get to some stuff. I hid some stuff in my notes from you when we were even doing the show prep because I like to get a couple things.
I love the responses.
She did stumble a little bit in her promo, not this past Monday, but the one before that.
Yeah.
The crowd kind of rattled her. But when you really think about it, I mean, she's only been in the business a year. To be rattled, it really wasn't a huge deal.
She never had to cut promos on MMA. She just went down the ring and hit people, or did the press conference and the weigh-ins. She never had to get in the middle of the octagon and talk for 10, 15 minutes.
She cut some promos during, press conferences and stuff like that, but it wasn't anything like, it was a very...
But her promos are raw and emotional. And she flubbers, and she acts like somebody who's out there actually in the moment, not somebody who's reading a script. And while I think sometimes she's the shits, she's the real shits. She's not like My name is Brock Lesnar, or my name is Roman Reigns, and I am going to hit you on the next program. And it's boring, and she's doing something different that feels like, even if she's the shits at it, she's the real shit. She's live shits.
Well, that promo, particularly the one we're talking about from not this past week, but the week before on Raw, when it got real, like when the words started going back and forth, and she got angry, and she started, at least it was believable. Everybody was like, "Oh, it was a bad." No, it was a believable promo. It was what.
When she got in Becky's face, it was like, "I'm gonna fuck you up."
Yeah, she was like, "If I wanted to kill you, I could kill you with my bare hand, or whatever. I could kill you with my bare hand." And I mean, that made TMZ.
Yeah,
that people were talking about. Ronda Rousey said she could kill a woman. She's like, "You do realize it's scripted, right?" And but that was my point. That there were people going like,
"But did you think she couldn't do it?"
But that's
no, I believe 100%. She was about to fucking kill a bitch right there. Done.
So even on like this Monday, the crowd booed her. She was fighting the Riot Squad.
Yeah.
And then she took care of Liv Morgan real quick, got her out, snatches the mic, and she starts saying, you people are, because the crowd was booing her when she was trying to talk. They've turned. I mean, they really have. They turned on her. And my question is, if whether Brock leaves or not, let's go there. If actually, I wanted to ask you, because then I'm going to kind of come back and forth. There's so much in this in my head because of this Ronda Rousey thing. Mark Henry even defended her on Busted Open Radio and made the comment that the reason the fans have turned on her, he called it greatness hate. I mean, think about that. He was like, Tom Brady suffers from it. LeBron suffers from it. Larry Bird did. Muhammad Ali did.
You hate to see naturals be so successful when they're that talented. You're just an average person, and that's why Becky is so popular right now. Even though Becky's a phenomenally talented wrestler, she needs that person that's that damn good to work against. It's the Dusty Rhodes concept versus Ric Flair. Do you think Flair would have looked so good had Dusty not been so fat? Or do you think Dusty would have looked so good had Flair not been so perfect?
Well, and it's you need two equal parts to make somebody else.
Yeah.
Because here's my argument. If the big heel was, and no offense to Nia Jax, because I think she's fine. I think the whole mess with her is over. It's just overblown. Becky's doesn't reach a peak that she has fighting Nia Jax.
No.
She needs Becky, or she needs Ronda. She needs Charlotte. I don't think she gets there fighting Sasha or Bayley or.
No.
I think the two that she's
that setup though, with Nia Jax busting her open and keeping her out of a match, put Nia up, and it made her more positively looked at because she couldn't be in that match with Ronda Rousey.
Exactly.
So it put Charlotte in.
And and that's my thing about the whole greatness hate. I think Charlotte's in that same boat. I think she's so naturally gifted that fans are starting to go against her, which is going to make her a great heel, by the way, which is what she's naturally born to be. I hate to say it. And I think the people cheer Becky because they think they made Becky.
Yes.
And she's their champion or whatever. So, and going back to the Rousey heel thing, whether Brock leaves or not, is putting her with Heyman the good call. They've talked about that since day one.
Well, Heyman's writing all our promos right now anyway.
And here's the thing, man. Put her with Heyman. Let him be the mouthpiece. She's full-blown heel. And by the way, beautifully sets up the horsewomen versus the horsewomen angle. Yeah. Because now, guess who she can bring up? The three heels down in NXT.
Well, Baszler is a hell of a heel.
Right, but if you remember the whole awkward moment we've talked about forever is that Ronda's the babyface. All three of her friends are heels basically down in NXT. If she turns heel, they can come right up, and then it fits the storyline better. Now, because Charlotte technically to this point hasn't really done anything to be a heel out of the other four, out of Becky, Sasha, and Bayley. They could all be the baby faces because she hasn't done anything yet that will put her too far out of the way. But that could all change.
I like the way they're doing everything right now. The constant tension they promote between Bayley and Sasha is good. With all your great tag teams, we're done that same way. There was always tension between your great tag teams. Will they turn? Well, there's a problem. Does Bobby like
Gable.
Gable or whatever the deal is? It's a good thing. I love the way they're doing it. I love what they're doing with bringing about the women's tag team. They're setting up the Elimination Chamber. Where do you see it going if it's not going to go to 4-on-4?
Well, the first part was, I think we eventually get there, and I've told you before, I think SummerSlam is where we get to that, because it's got to be far enough away to build. But my bigger thing is, I love where they're going now to Mania. They've clearly given Becky tons of respect and love. On Monday she's in the ring with Stephanie and she puts her hands on Stephanie. Tuesday she's on SmackDown. She slaps Triple H. You don't slap. The only other person that could have been bigger as far as from a bigger picture thing is if she had hit Vince.
She put a stunt. Did she do a stunner on Vince?
If she would have stunned Vince, and then boom, it's a done deal.
Because what made Stone Cold Steve Austin? Putting a stunner on Vince.
Well, we all waited. They built it and built it and built it to that point, and when he finally hit it, the pop goes crazy. I'm curious how we're going to get Charlotte, because the rumors are Charlotte obviously is going to work her way into the triple threat. It's going to be a triple threat at Mania. I think the injury thing they're doing with Becky's kind of the door in. I don't know, maybe they figure something out. The knee, I think it's a total work. And now
she's working it good though. She's selling the whole time. She's not moving around easily with that knee. I don't understand where they're going with I won't go to a doctor.
She's afraid she's going to miss her spot because she got busted in the face at SummerSlam, remember?
Okay, I can work with that. So let's see how it goes. I mean,
which brings me to my last point on this whole the women's thing I wanted to bring up to you. Love it or hate it, people need to remember, because everybody's complaining about Charlotte, stealing Becky's spotlight and sliding in and taking some of the limelight away. Remember back a year ago, we were heading to Ronda versus Charlotte. That was going to be this year's main event.
Yeah.
And people are really going to hate what I'm about to say. Becky has squeezed into Charlotte's match, not Charlotte squeezing into her match, because it was she beat Asuka's streak at WrestleMania. Ronda, wins, and Ronda's, oh man, she's on fire. She goes on to win the title, and on and on and on. Becky is lucky that Nia Jax busted her face. Now, I'm a big fan of Becky, by the way. I have to back, because everybody thinks I'm going to crap all over Becky. I'm just being realistic here. She's lucky that Nia punched her in the face and put her out of the SummerSlam match, because that was her match against Rousey.
Yeah, that
Charlotte's was against
Mania.
Mania. Yeah, they were probably going to wrestle, and that was it.
Yeah.
Becky getting booted out of that spot got Charlotte tossed into that spot months before it was probably supposed to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And then the fans, wanted it so bad that it hyped it up even more, making them wait. That's why Becky's in the Mania match. I'm sorry, that's a fact.
Yeah, makes perfect sense to me. I looked at it when you told me this earlier. I'm like, I did my timeline of all this, and you're 100% right. There's no way around this. Had the bust open not happened with Nia Jax, no, we wouldn't be here right now. Becky was made a folk hero after that. When she had the blood streaming down her face and she was like,
yep.
And then Nia Jax is the evil Godzilla type character.
She's the one who put her out.
Great. Yeah.
So, I know a lot of people don't like that opinion. Maybe if you do, if you don't like the opinion, you can DM us.
I got 2 words for it. No, you can DM us.
DM us at Tapped Out Pod, or you can, we can put it on there and talk about it. You can message us on Facebook. Everything, like we always tell you, it's at Tapped Out Pod on Instagram. It's on Twitter. It's on Facebook. Email us at tappedoutpod@gmail.com. We're all good, man. We love opinions as long as it's respectful. We always say that. As long as it's phrased respectful, we encourage, participation. Last thing I want to talk about the women is, are you excited at all about this women's chamber tag team crown?
Yes. Because it's going to be bad. It's going to be violent. It's going to be women just beating the hell out of each other.
But man,
It's going to be crowded. That's the best thing. It's going to be crowded.
Are you? So I mean, honestly, I gave you the 6 teams. It's Nia and Tamina, Liv Morgan and Sarah Logan, Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville, the Iconics, Bayley and Sasha, Carmella and Naomi. I mean, who? I mean, I'm not. You don't have to give me a pick, but are there? I mean, really more than 1 or 2 teams that you think are going to win?
Oh, it's going to be Bayley and Sasha, because they're going to make the inaugural champion somebody that they can go down and hit. That's your inaugural champions. It's your Finn Balor Universal title moment. They're going to put it on them. I don't know how long they'll hold it, but it's going to be a great match because we're used to seeing 6 men in an elimination chamber.
Yeah.
So double that. It's going to be like Rage in the Cage was Saturday night.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be so much going on that you're not going to be able to catch every single moment when a fan jumps out of the crowd and tries to unlock somebody handcuffs.
Yeah.
Check it out, folks. That's how crazy it got at Monroe. A fan hopped the railing with a handcuff key to free Strychnine after he'd been handcuffed to the cage.
Yeah. So I'm right there with you, man. I just think Bayley and Sasha may be too easy of a pick.
I'd love to see the Iconics do it. I really like them. I think probably the Riot Squad is the most cohesive unit of the entire group.
I think if you want heat, man, put it on Tamina and Nia Jax.
Oh, yeah.
Because the fans would just boo the crap out of that.
Yeah.
But anywho.
Well, I'm praise to Tamina for her current relativity, which she did not have.
Hey, it's helped her. So, yeah, it's helped her career. So, being put with Nia. So, obviously, the rub's working for her. Man, we're gonna move
one out.
Yeah. We're gonna move on to the indie stuff. We were kind of touching on it earlier, man. I mean, Southern Honor Wrestling on Friday night, man. 608 people. Jake the Snake Roberts, Duke the Dumpster Drosset, David Arquette. Yeah, David freaking Arquette.
I wish he would have hung around, and I wish he'd brought some 8x10s.
He was busy, man. He was on a roll. He was knocking.
Oh no, he popped in, did his spot, and ran back out, and got back, I guess, on the bus to go to his next show.
Yeah, much love to Gary Lamb for hooking me up with the opportunity to meet him. Get a picture with him, and by the way, message him thank you, and he was generous enough to respond back, saying it was
Well, he listens to the show. I mean, he's been on our show, not our show, but one of our shows. He's a great guy. I mean, he is the guy that basically is doing, when they do those fantasy baseball camps for guys in their 40s.
He does it in wrestling.
And he's doing it in wrestling right now, and he's doing really well. So,
and
thanks,
respectfully,
I really appreciate what you've done.
Respectfully doing it.
Yeah.
On top of that, so I agree. But that card from top to bottom, man, we could go through match by match by match and talk about how great it was because it was very well done. Gary, Dillon, and the team up there, man, they're just on a roll. I mean, they really are. I just can't put them over enough that if you're in Georgia, you got to check out Canton. The next show's March 1st, Eye of the Storm. It's going to be a great card. Give them a follow. They're S Honor Wrestling on Twitter and Southern Honor Wrestling pretty much on everything else, Instagram, Facebook, and all that kind of stuff. Get the card when it comes out. I mean, hell, we're sharing it, tweeting it, and all that good stuff too.
Best posters in the business, man.
Yeah, I mean, they're just the production level, the video, everything, top to bottom is top notch. Really excited for the next show. But man, they're getting there. They're 6 shows in, right? I mean, dude, come on, it's crazy.
Or 5 shows? No, that's just 5.
Well, this is what I'm saying. This is going to be 6. Yeah, sorry, but they're 5 shows in. And then, like I said, 608 people for an indie show in Georgia. Like you said, I mean, Goodman said he'd been covering Georgia for 20 years, and that's the biggest crowd he had seen up to that point.
Yes.
And I do that very quick. But it was the biggest crowd. Until the next night. Southern Fried Championship Wrestling Band, they're on fire. No pun intended. 651 was the total that I got, right? So that was so. David, if I'm wrong, correct me, but I believe it was 651. So that became the biggest crowd he had ever, Goodman had ever seen, because technically he did not see the Southern Honor crowd. I wrote the review for that one for him.
He went to the Heller.
We're going to cover that one last. Yeah, come Hell or High Water. He did go to that one, which is crazy that Southern Fried ran the same night as a major production.
No, sorry, Southern Honor ran.
Southern Honor is what I meant. Sorry. Yeah. And they draw 600, and so the following night, Todd, and David are let's say it what it is. They are still the number one promotion in the state of Georgia right now.
Yes.
And it's all about storylines, man. Because I'll give them this: they didn't bring in any, like Hall of Famers or anything like that. It's just all based on the storylines. JB Enterprises, Drew Blood, Jagged Edge, Brian Kane, Tetchy, and Joseph Brock. They're the heels that everybody hates. And Jacob Ashworth, Xander Ramon, Billy Buck. I mean, I know they weren't all the team, but they,
their baby faces are baby faces.
Yeah, fans love them.
Perfect, evil heels. You get some matches thrown in there in the middle that are, while there are not the main event matches, their matches. It's like Todd has his main thing, and then Todd has this match here, and the next match, this match is here, and then the next show, this match is here, and it clicks up before you know it, you've been following a main event time. Brilliant booker, booker of the year, mentor of the year, promotion of the year, promoter of the year, show of the year. 651 people, which, unless you're running a massive, like, pre-sold, super high star lucha show down in Norcross, this is killing it. Yeah. And those lucha shows have buku money behind them. Yeah. And it's high price tickets.
And Dave and them are doing it just with good old-fashioned, old-school storytelling.
Yep.
So if you're you want to check out Southern Fried Men, check them out. Southern Fried Championship Wrestling on Facebook. Southern Fried Fan Club, they have their own. Yep. Then, of course, you can find them at Get Fried Georgia on Twitter as well.
And also, we've got the third episode of the still entitled Lulu Show coming up this week. The most fascinating man in Georgia wrestling, Lulu, the head of security for Southern Fried, the ring master, the guy who can change a canvas and put up a cage faster than any human being on earth, is going to be on again on Thursday, and we'll be releasing that. Fans love that. People have been really eating that stuff up, so I look forward to y'all seeing it. It's been a good little thing for me and him, and I really enjoy every single episode. Quite the character, folks. Remember, Lulu loves you, and you'll be able to hear that on Thursday.
And remember, if you're trying to catch everything, patreon.com/tappedoutpod. It's the only place you can get every single ounce of content that we release.
It's a repository.
Somebody, some stuff's only on Facebook, some's only on the main feed, some is on a couple things. But if you're a Patreon, you're a Patreon member, a patron over there at patreon.com/tappedoutpod, everything is there. So all the interviews, all of our shows, the wrestling business, the Lulu stuff, it's all going to be there. That's the only place you can find it all. But you touched on Come Hell or High Water. It drew national attention.
Yes, lots of attention. Lots of dignitaries there.
But
the Yeti.
Well, I mean, Conrad Thompson was there. Tony
I think that was the real Yeti, wasn't it?
It was. It was a real guy. Yeah, they were all there. Glacier was there. But it still did not outdraw the home. The home teams for those weekends. The Elite. Couldn't even. And I say this because again, I'm a huge fan of theirs as well. But they didn't beat great groundwork that the other two shows are doing.
Well, it was a one-off show. It was somebody out of Texas running the show that did not consult with actual people who knew what was going on in Georgia wrestling. I'm not going to put us over, but I mean, guys, we go to a lot of shows. So if you need advice, just give us a call. But seriously, they did that. They did their stuff. They brought in all their talent. They booked a show. They put it in a big house. They brought everybody on. But, like you said, you can't beat stuff people are passionate about. Storylines that people care about. One-off shows are good for marks, but you got to get all those marks in one place at one time.
Mm-hmm. Now, it's still impressive, though. 2 shows on Friday, about an hour and a half apart. drew over 1,000. I mean, they drew 450, and and Gary and them drew that over 600 themselves. So I thought that was still pretty impressive overall.
Here's the thing, though: if you were the elite right now and you wanted to go to shows, if you wanted to go to shows that emphasized your caring and your establishment with the indie fans, what shows would you show up for? Well, shows or shows that draw fans?
Well, we talked about this, and we're going to discuss some of this a little bit later about where they need to look a little bit into the casual fan, and we'll discuss that topic in here shortly. But the big, attention getter that came out of Hell or High Water was, of course, the Bucks come out, offer the handshake deal to Pentagon and Fenix, and they do it. They take the handshake, so they're going to work apparently with AEW. Seems to be where they're going to be heading as far as the U.S. product. You had brought up they're still going to work for.
Yeah, they're still going to work a lot of other shows. They're not exclusive. You said they finished up with MLW.
Yeah, Court Bauer did tweet out that thanking them for 7 months as their champions, but it looks like they're done. With MLW.
Now, are they? I don't know about TNA Impact, what that's going to work out to, if they're still going to work with them. But more power to them, guys. You're going to be able to sign with a big new production and still work all your shows like AMLL, CMLL, FMLA, all those other shows. Yeah, seriously, if you can, Lucha Underground, if that's ever going to record again, that's awesome. I mean, imagine getting a deal where you could work your job and then go work other jobs too if you wanted to.
I do that.
Like you could work for Woodman and State Farm.
No, not like that. No. I wouldn't do that. But yeah, so good luck to them. And I mean, hey, and subtly just throwing it into our conversation, it's Kenny Omega is officially a free agent. His contract was up this week. So what now? I mean, is it WWE? Is it AEW? Is it
If he'd have been with WWE, they'd already had him out. He would have showed up. He'd already been on television.
No, come on. You don't ruin it. You make him debut at like Elimination Chamber or something like that, or or Fastlane or Mania or something.
Or Takeover.
Oh, he's not going down there, buddy. If
no, you don't have to go down there. You just have to show up in the crowd at Takeover.
They don't. Those are for guys who are going to NXT. That's how that happens.
How about EC3, the man with?
Well, he went to NXT. He was in NXT for a while, and then he went.
Yeah, and he went over Dean Ambrose on Monday night. Bye, Dean.
I still don't buy that. We'll have to discuss that another time. But I still don't buy.
You don't buy that Dean's leaving.
Nope. I don't believe he's going to AEW.
No. Booker T said it flat out. He said Booker T said it on his podcast that Dean was leaving, but Dean's not going anywhere else. Dean just wants a break. He's tired of the thing. It's not worth it for him to come in and be Roger Clemens, was the thing he used, where they would bring in guys that were so big that they didn't have to practice. They just showed up and played. It wasn't worth it to them.
Right.
And Dean would want that kind of money if you're going to work for him.
And people don't get that sometimes you just need a break from wrestling. We're not going to say names here, but we have a friend of the show who kind of made the same decision. He just needed a break. Needed to take needed to rest his neck. Needed to take you can get burnt out on wrestling, man. You just can as a wrestler.
I take it in shifts.
No, I meant from a wrestler's perspective, not ours.
From a
Dude, we have no excuse to burn out other than just watching too much. That's on us.
No, I watch too much, and I burn out on watching too much. So I do it in shifts.
Yeah.
Like I'll watch WWE for a while, or I won't watch this promotion for a while, or I won't follow everything somebody else is doing for a while.
Right, but I'm talking about from a worker standpoint.
No, man.
Their body takes such a beating. Just take a break.
Best for you.
Yeah, just hopefully everything's all cool and.
Yeah, we love you, man.
Yeah. And kind of what you were talking about earlier, I wanted to come back to. I read again another article that was really cool. Rafael Garcia from Fansided. I caught this article on our, we're on the Gorilla Position on their website. So I just happened to be going through there and saw this article about AEW needs to be for the fans. They must look beyond the so-called average fan. And we were talking about casual fans and all that stuff earlier. So I did want to kind of just ask and talk about it a little bit. Tony Khan is, Meltzer saying Dave Meltzer saying Tony Khan's going to use analytics, like he's going to do surveys and numbers and all this stuff that to get kind of what his fan base wants. My question was, we talked about it earlier. Well, what fan base is going to be the loudest? It's going to be the hardcore fan because they have an opinion on everything. So if that's your loudest voice and that's what you're going to run with, is that going to override what the casual fan needs? And you need to listen to the casual fan, because I'll straight out say it. If AEW is a hardcore, just fan promotion, and that's who they target their whole product at, I'm not saying it can't survive. It just will not excel.
No. Because the marks are going to they've got so much money to spend. Okay? And you can take that mark money. That's great. But you're never going to be able to sustain what you want to on that pool of money. You're going to have to spread out and get into the people that buy John Cena t-shirts. I'm not saying you got to get every John Cena t-shirt or spinner belt replica. But you got to get into that pool of money if you're going to be successful on a bigger scale. So,
well, we talked about it, and it's a touchy subject, and I was fully aware of that when we started coming up with it. But WWE, to a fault, is covering for the masses.
Yeah.
The problem is it seems like your masses, as they say, is your average fan is a white male 18 to 40 or 49. That's their target demo. I know it's the age, but they need to start including things.
Average fan.
You had a great interview, and you pointed it out that you talked with Perot, and
Mike Perot. Yes, that's going to be a two-parter. I'm going to produce it all and break it all down tomorrow. Y'all are going to enjoy it. This was a very behind-the-scenes look at his life in wrestling and promotions and the wrestling business as a whole. This guy, I've talked to a lot of people, both through the podcast and my daily life. I've never talked to somebody who could talk solid for 2.5 hours with very little input from me and just talk. There were lots of times where I would want to say something and I got so busy listening to him I didn't have to say something. And he pointed out that everybody is doing the same thing right now, and nobody is taking a chance. And the first promotion that reaches out there and goes for that apple, or grabs the LGBT fan, or grabs the women fan, or finds the black audience, or the Asian audience, that's the promotion that's going to knock it out of the ballpark.
That was exactly what I was going to say. If you can include, men and women of color of any kind, of multiple, to embrace all the fans and suck that, and people will laugh when I say this. That's why guys like Dusty Rhodes and stuff are popular, because they took a broad audience and brought them all in.
Your skin may be a different color, baby, but your money's all green.
And that's
the ticket to it.
The diversified audience is, that's what they need, and that's kind of what we were talking about. You just can't having a homogenized mass appeal product, I think, and you got to give it a little bit of it, something for everybody, and I think that's what AEW has an opportunity to do, but they have got to not get locked up into just listening to diehard fans. Those people, WWE has proved, those people watch you anyway. They complain all the time, but they're still watching.
Those people.
Yeah.
I mean, you've already got those people. You've hooked them in. Those people are passionate about wrestling. That's what they're going to want. They're not going to sit there and watch the new Magnum PI TV show. They're going to watch wrestling. Okay? You need to draw people who aren't watching wrestling. You need to draw the people who are watching Total Divas. Because that's not it's a segment of the Total Divas audience watches Raw and SmackDown. Not all of them. You need to watch the people who watch Real Housewives. You need the people that watch NFL football. You got to find where your thing is there, and you got to pick up, and and if you're doing it like you would a sports promotion where you're finding your audience and working towards it, I think it'll be successful. But they're going to have to be smart.
Well, they have discussed, we've talked about it before, where wins and losses matters and ranking systems and all this kind of stuff they've contemplated doing. Cody pointed out, like, and he's right. Back in the day, we all read the aftermags, and they had like every promotion was ranked.
Yep.
Who their top was, and then they had the real, like, the legitimate top 10. Wink, wink. And I know I read this article that was really cool. I can't remember who wrote it. I just happened. I wasn't really. It's not on my agenda, but Cody was talking about like working with independent promotions through the ranking system for AEW. So you might have, if everybody can play along and get along with each other. And this is not what he's talking about, but I was thinking long term, how cool would this be? The AEW champion is like the top guy.
Yeah.
But you could eventually get to where, like, Southern Honor champion is like he's ranked 8th. Your Rocky Mountain Pro champion is number 9 or 7, and so you get all these indie promotions who their guys start. Because we've been bluntly told that that's essentially what we're going to look at, right? The roster is going to be a set roster, and then the indies are going to provide the rest of their cards as they go around the country. It's like that's where they're going to get those people from.
When you come to Atlanta, Billy Buck and Allen Angels on your show. You go to Denver, you got Curtis Cole on your show. You follow your promotions, you bring guys in who are selling in their markets and work with it. That provides you with enhancement talent. That provides you with undercard and dark matches. And you don't have to fly people out.
Because we were talking about tag teams. How many tag teams are they going to sign? Right now we know of the Bucks, Pentagon, and Fenix.
You can't carry too many tag teams.
Well, what I'm saying though is, but your number 6 contender could be the end. Odinson and and Perot that we were talking about. So that's your and so you can be, those are your ranking systems. If Ring of Honor eventually can play nice, or Impact can play nice, you could even have like the Impact champions might be the number 4 contender for the AEW championship.
Yep.
Or something. I mean, you can work it out, and I think that would just be interesting. Not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying that I know with wins and loss mattering, I think it's a really cool concept that I don't think Impact and Ring of Honor are going to play that nice to where their champion is ranked below.
But they could be the AEW could be the new NWA, basically.
They'll be NWA better than NWA. They can go.
They could be the new touring champion.
Well, that's the point. As they're going around, they can, Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. Cody comes in, that guy might be the number 9 contender, or so on and so on. Your number 1 contender is probably going to be, if they have a second tier belt, it'll probably be that guy.
Yeah.
Or so forth or so on. So their guys are going to be sprinkled into there, but you could always pull from like, hey, we know in 2 months we're going to be going through Georgia, so why don't we put the Southern Honor champion as the number 8 contender for the title? So then when we swing through, we can put that guy on the card.
This actually has the potential to do a lot for independent wrestling, which is booming right now. And it's got markets. There's a market for every single kind of wrestling. I'm not going to say wrestling is for everybody, because it's not. Wrestling,
it's for everybody, but some of us know what our roles are. We'll just do podcasts and sit in the seats and watch them wrestle.
Yeah, I'm not getting in the ring. But, I mean, wrestling might for fans, but just because you can get into a ring and do moves, I don't think makes you a wrestler. And I don't think just because you can do it or it's your dream to be a wrestler should people let you. I'm going to do a hot take. I wouldn't go to see a show Marco Stunt was on the card. Nothing against Marco Stunt. But he's 5'3", 105 pounds. He's not believable.
To you, right? Now, it was specified. To you, you don't buy him.
I don't buy him at all. Nothing against him. He could probably whip my ass. But if I go to see, I'm not going to go see that guy wrestle. He's unbelievable to me. And I'm at promoters that put him on a card's remarks. That's just my feeling on it. I'm very Jim Cornette about the whole thing. Just because you think somebody's cooler, you want to give him a shot, is not a reason to put him on your card.
Right on.
And that's the way wrestling works. It is for everybody to watch, not participate in.
I feel you.
And you're going to find those people. You got to find people want to watch.
Well, I tell you who they are watching, and this is cool because one of the things that we were just talking about is collaboration, working together to make everybody's life easier. WrestleMania weekend, April 4th to be specific, not Pacific, specific.
Specifically.
Impact and MLW have basically come to terms to work together. They were running they're both running shows on that date. Their MLW's running Rise of the Renegades. Impact's running United We Stand. There was going to be their shows are about an hour apart as far as where they are located, hour drive roughly. But they've agreed to MLW's going to run their show at 7 p.m. Impact's going to run their show at 11 p.m. There were guys I think that were going to be on both shows potentially. They didn't want to have any scheduling conflicts. We've been around that lately. That's happened here in Georgia recently a couple times. And it just, a nightmare can happen, from that. So I just think it's real cool that they've agreed to, we're going to separate the times. We're going to work together and stuff to make sure fans can see both shows if they want to. We don't have issues with booking, if guys can do both shows. Because if they knock the shows out 2.5, 3 hours, they should be good to get where they got to get.
Yeah, that's cool.
And the fans got time to get there as well. So it's really cool. Like I said, we were talking about the whole, what AEW could cooperation's a good thing. We encourage that here in Georgia in the indie promotions as well.
Look at Gary and David. Dave managed to work this rivalry they have into selling a whole shitload of tickets.
And they get along great, man. They work hard. They both are successful. Like I said, they both of them have their thing going on, and there's mutual respect there. But it's healthy competition, and I think All Elite for everything it sounds like I've come on, come at them. I think that I've said that these two promotions, WWE and All Elite, have an opportunity to push each other.
Yes.
To new heights, because Vince, everybody knows Vince when he's backed in the corner, he's the best Vince.
Oh yeah. Monday Night Wars.
I don't think we're going to get those numbers again. And people would argue. I'm going to really tell you, I don't think those numbers ever existed for real anyway. But with all of the channels that are here now, and the different types of ways people get entertainment, Netflix, streaming services, whatever. I don't think anything would ever see those ratings again.
Well, the Monday Night Wars, if you wanted to watch both shows, you had to flip channels or record one on your VCR. And with most VCRs, you had to watch what you were recording. So you would have had to have 2 cable boxes or watch TV in another room. It would have been a lot of work. Because, I worked the shit out of the remote control. Beep, 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 commercial break, back and forth, 15 minutes to watch both shows. That 3-hour block, you were working your remote control nonstop trying to get to both shows. That's not going to happen again.
No.
People don't consume media that way.
So, I think the competition's good for everybody involved. The wrestlers are going to benefit from it, as far as salaries go and contracts in general, all the above. I hope AEW is super successable. I believe as far as in the talent that they have, it's really good. Even the from top to bottom, I think the card's going to be great. But we'll have to see. There's only time to tell, and we'll see if anybody.
Well, everybody's acting like they're going to come right out of the gates of the WWE. They're not. They're going to come out of the gates below Ring of Honor, below Impact, below established promotions, below New Japan. They're going to have to work their way up. Look what MLW has done. MLW has went from below Ring of Honor to surpassing Ring of Honor in draw within a year. AEW can do better than that because they're thinking about it. They've got money. They're working. They're not going to walk out and be putting on promotions like Royal Rumble your first day. That's not how it works.
They'll be hot. They'll come out with a lot of traction, I think, because there's so much buzz about it coming out. I think they'll do really well.
We got to have Frank's Kid on the show.
And we'll see.
Because Frank's Kid, if I can ask Frank's Kid what the AEW is and he doesn't know, that proves most of our points. He is a super casual wrestling fan who doesn't have the network, who watches every Raw and SmackDown religiously till he has to go to bed.
Yeah. But, anywho, but we'll see with the time. Like I said, time will tell, man. We're gonna wrap up here, but if you think they're, you can always. What we tell you, if you agree with anything we've said here, if you got something you want your opinion shared, at Tapped Out Pod it's going to be on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all the above, and then of course tappedoutpod.com is the website, tappedoutpod@gmail.com, and then our favorite place to send you is patreon.com/tappedoutpod. You can see all of the stuff, the interviews and stuff like we were just talking about a minute ago. I know we've got Thursday this week. We've got Dr. Bob, the commentator from Canada, is going to be back on. Bobby Vircha, really cool. Lewis had an interview with him, so that one's coming out. But then, like you said, your big interview with Perot's coming.
Yeah.
So that's going to be cool.
Be what I do tomorrow. I have to drive to Marietta for work. Not I'm going to work. I just have to deliver some stuff.
It may be something that you may cut it in here, but leave it all together. I may put the whole interview on Patreon together. Like it's one.
Well, that's the thing. It's 2.5 solid hours of nonstop talk. It's going to be a lot to listen to, but it's going to be a great listen. You don't get my attention for 2.5 hours because I'm like a squirrel.
I mean, he's a big star, man. He's they've been to Japan recently, so definitely, like I said, keep an eye out. And become a patron, man. We do everything we can. There's actually free shirts you can get if you get to a high enough level. And you get to pick, by the way. There's 3 shirts on our store at ProWrestlingTees.com. Just search on the website, Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast. You'll find it. But if you buy a high enough level, you can get a free shirt. We'll ship it straight to your house, which is, what more can you ask for? If you go high enough level, you can be a guest.
T-shirt.
You can be a guest.
You can be a guest?
Yeah.
You can sell a guestship on this show?
You can become a
wrestling podcast in the entire world?
That's my point, man. You can absolutely do it. But so make sure you're checking us out. Follow us on all social media, everywhere, so you're not missing anything. A lot of people seem to like the video shows. That's pretty cool. I don't know why. I totally wish we've got the face for podcasting and radio.
Yes, you like to see silly fat men in their basements.
So I
got all kind of stuff in store for you folks.
Yep, but man, hey, you got anything else for us, man?
No.
So, well, what's the old saying, man? If I've got nothing and you've got nothing, man, what time is it?
It's time to tap out.